We'll give it a minute here to let everybody get back to us. We're off the air for a few minutes ago, so there is the question of whether or not we welcome you back, and we will welcome you back. And I have some friends with me this time who are here to help me not look so foolish in what is happening here. By the way, we're talking weather here. It's LSM. Live Storms Media. Brett Adair is out and about, and we've been efforting speaking to him. He's in the back roads and bayous of Louisiana, and he's following some storms there at the moment. We do have a couple of tornado warnings, and I'll get you up to date on those as they are happening right now as we fill in with you, the viewer, and give you a second to get in. Jackson, Lincoln, Ouachita, and Union Parish. Those four parishes underneath tornado warnings at the moment. So what we're watching is everything moving in from the south and moving its way northward. I'm meteorologist David Neal. Just beneath me here is Brandon Jarvis and Dean Barry. Down on the bottom, the south end of the picture is Dean, and everybody is here from all over the country. Really, we're representing the upper portions of Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania, and also I think in western Tennessee. Mr. Jarvis is joining us now. Thank you guys for helping me out with what's going on here. We're still kind of watching what's happening, and Jarvis, maybe we'll start with you. What's the predominant thing that sticks out to you so far? We have a new tornado watch back into Oklahoma where things really haven't started yet, but so far, what's the predominant thing that's in your mind?
Been watching that tornado. We had a tornado warning down for Jonesboro and Rushton earlier in Louisiana. I believe that was confirmed. Just looking for some damage reports there, and just sent you a damage report. Got permission to use the photos in Jesseville, Arkansas earlier today. They had damage to the high school
in Jesseville. Yeah,
Yep.
I remember having that tornado warning a little bit earlier in Jesseville. I know we've seen some often on pictures. Dean, what have you seen so far that sticks out to you as far as the storms go? Because we've had really a cluster of thunderstorms that are taking place here at the moment that haven't impacted a large area. We've sort of been training over the same places, but what have you got so far?
Well, the one thing that's sticking out to me, David, is the damage photos that were sent in from Jesseville. You have that tree damage, and there's been no none of these slabs that you see from the plains in the spring, and this is a good thing. Additionally, down into Sabine, I believe, or Saline,
Yeah.
Parish down in Louisiana earlier. Public safety was reporting a tornado with debris crossing the road. And other than some tree damage, I didn't hear much else on that public safety traffic. The one thing that I have been thinking about, spending so many years in the emergency medical services and emergency management, fire department, just all forms of public safety, is you look at this region of the country, and there is a not insignificant portion of the population that live in mobile homes, modular homes, trailer homes, this sort of thing. And we have been looking to the NWS. They've been doing a great job so far in getting these warnings out in a timely fashion to give people a chance to get to safety.
Yeah, and this is now considered a confirmed large dangerous tornado that is on the ground here. Sadly, it's getting out beyond the 70-mile range here into our purple haze area, and this is a radar deficient region too, by the way, of Louisiana. So we're on the Shreveport radar, but we're getting closer and closer to losing that. We're going to have to go over to Jackson here shortly. Like I said, radar deficient. Specifically, but that is a spinning storm there that has developed into a large tornado that is perhaps on the ground there at the moment. All indications are that this thing is still rotating very heavily. You can see it there on the radar image. We've got what we call gate-to-gate shear that shows up right there in a very well-defined region that has this depicted as a large tornado besides that. And if we see any damage overall here, by the way, that'd be in our correlation coefficient, and there is some sort of an integer that shows up here, an anomaly in this image where we have some what we call debris, but in the actual image itself we have some debris, but we do have a solidified area that we're also looking at here that shows up as going to be something. That's going to be, I think, in these pixels you see right here in the middle just to the north of Shudrant. and coming into the Downsville region. That's coming across I-20, actually, east of Ruston and just to the west of Monroe, Louisiana, where we have the likelihood of a tornado crossing over the interstate here at the moment. Now, the National Weather Service did just go ahead and reissue another tornado warning back to the west a little bit. Actually, they're just going to update this one. And they took out large dangerous, if they're, large dangerous to me means somebody's looking at it, particularly at that point and watching the damage be done. But at the moment, that is a new tornado warning that's being issued. It'll come up here in just a couple of seconds. I think it maybe did, but it's within the red area. We got red on red. So here we go. There's your tornado warning that goes across the interstate all the way up into Downsville, Shoudron area, and right along 80, US 80, or I-20 that goes west to the east into the Downsville region here, too. About 44,000 people within the polygon, if you want to do a little survey of how busy it is. But that's up on 20. It's in the northern part of the state, too. And that's pretty much what I've seen. As far as any social information, Jarvis, you seen anything to go along with that?
Not seeing anything coming yet, but keeping a close eye out.
Yeah, these things now with social media and everything, they're hard to, you can't hide one of these anymore. I mean, there's typically going to be some sort of chatter or some sort of, pictures that'll be coming across pretty soon. If you have one of these that's on the ground in particular, there are a lot of people out there. We call our storm analysts. We don't necessarily, we're not into chasing really, as we are to give information about storms that we see or we come across, and to help you, our viewer, and we always want to be looking upstream as well. We're talking about what's happening right now into the current, but we're also looking upstream to talk about what's going to happen into the future. Ironically enough, tongue-in-cheek, I've been talking about this for a while, has not 90% of the action today come out from underneath and away from our tornado watch boxes? I mean, here we are again. Either one of you, both of you, one of you could. Dean, how about you? I mean, you find the irony in that so far, I think we've had one tornado warning that was in the northwestern corner of the watch box here a little bit earlier, but have you seen anything? Has there been any discussion about whether or not they're going to push this forward, these watches forward?
I haven't seen any inside information so far into that regard. I have been noticing that most of our warnings have been popping off outside of the watch area. And that watch update that hit about an hour and a half ago, I want to say, that extended the watch more towards the west and north. It's very interesting. And now we're seeing that second line that's firing through Oklahoma up towards Kansas, which is now moving off to the east again. And just want to communicate to people, just because a storm has already come through your area, just because it's been raining, just because you may have flooding or you may have some wind damage in your area, don't rest on your laurels yet, because there's more on the way.
I think we talked about this. We've been talking about this for a while now, about the fact that there were so many facets to this storm. And I sort of want to get out and look beyond here, because there are other areas now that we have the new watch box there for the eastern side of Oklahoma or southeastern Kansas, coming into the western portions of Missouri, up around Table Rock, and then northwestern corner there, if you will, of Arkansas. That's the other watch box. And we do have some thunderstorms here. We'll just take a look at them here on the radar. We got quite a few radars here, actually, we could look at, but SRX is the one of the moment here in Fort Smith that we'll be looking at. So McAllister, this is over in Oklahoma, McAllister, northward all the way up into Eufaula area here near Crowder. There's quite a bit going on here as far as the thunderstorms developing. They're not singular, they're along the line, but still producing some inbound and outbound near Canadian, Indianola. In that region, there's definitely a change in wind direction there near Kiowa, or all the way down to the south to Atoka. We got a little area there, too, that we were looking at. And then off to the north, a little bit of spin. And these are going to be inside of the line of thunderstorms that will be moving west-east for the rest of this evening from Pryor Creek into the Adairville area there, too. And let me show you really quickly here. Here's a look at the satellite image as well. Right before dark, you can see the blow-up of thunderstorms. The cluster of thunderstorms has popped up here in this region, and that is another reason for the thunderstorms there to continue a motion off to the east. And the bubbling effect you see, that's these thunderstorms growing in height and dimension. You can see the eastern side of which has a little shadow that shows up there also. So we're still watching development back to the west. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. They just popped up here in eastern Oklahoma for Craig, Mays, Rogers counties. Craig, Mays, Rogers counties near Kiowa. That's going to be moving to the northeast at about 30, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Nickel-sized hail is a possibility there, too, as all that heads off to the northeast. Out of the Wichita region here, we got a special weather statement for a few storms here as well in the Wilson and Woodson counties with a strong thunderstorm headed northeastward there out of the southern part of the county, but going northward and heading on into Leroy and over to Burlington with a few thunderstorms. And these are just now developing, guys. Jarvis, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Was this going to be a nocturnal situation? And it looks like now that's a yes. It is going to be a nighttime situation here, which makes it doubly more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely, David. And you want to make sure tonight, when you get home before you go to bed, make sure you got your weather radio on, make sure you got your smartphone with you and it's turned on so you have multiple ways to get these warnings. And make sure you have your tornado shelter already prepared and ready to go should you have to get up and jump in there.
Yeah, we always talk about, all those things that you can do. And I know, Dean, part of what you've done before is, discussed what to do during a situation like that. I was always told to make sure that you cover your head, and the thought process behind that has always been for me to tell people to make sure that you had something to do that with, and for your children, even so far as to, I didn't invent it, but I've been talking about wearing a baseball helmet or a football helmet for many, many years.
Absolutely, David. One of those things that you really want to do is you want to be adequately prepared. Now, you want to be prepared long before the day you need it, of course. However, in these cases, you want to identify the safe room in your home, interior room on the lowest floor of the building. Basements are a great place, but not everybody has one. So that interior room on the lowest floor, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible to take shelter during these tornado warnings. If you're in the box, go ahead and take shelter. There's no use in going outside and trying to see that. That's why that's what we tell people. There are professionals that do this, and we encourage you to leave the sightseeing of these storms to the professionals. Just have that helmet in your safe place. You're going to want a flashlight, good batteries. You're going to want to know a weather radio with the alert feature, which is a great way to receive warnings. They're very affordable at major retailers everywhere. And also your cellular phone, as Jarvis has mentioned, the wireless emergency alerts. To go in your settings and make sure those are turned on, you'll have multiple ways to receive warnings and never be caught off guard.
And as you say that, two more warnings, two new tornado warnings. The first two of the day for eastern Oklahoma now. We have two tornado warnings just now issued from the National Weather Service office. I believe this one's going to be out of Tulsa for the next 42 minutes. We have Craig, Delaware, Mays counties. Craig, Delaware, and Mays counties. You're underneath the tornado warning at the moment. This coming in out of the southwest near Pryor at 40 miles per hour motion to the north and east. Some of these areas include Pensacola, Cherokee State, the Hoot Owl area, which is just south of Big Cabin and beyond. So that's our tornado warning to the north. Now, this developed so fast. You can see the radar at the moment. It went from, I think, 30 minutes ago from nothing to something, and now near Adair is where the big chunk of this is at the moment, and it is producing a likely tornado into this area near Pryor Creek and Adair. The second one down to the south includes the town of Eufaula. This is brand new again from Haskell, McIntosh, and Pittsburgh counties in Oklahoma. Brand new tornado warnings issued here until 6:15 for the storm. $half size hail being reported within this thing as well, but a very well-defined storm near Canadian and moving northeastward toward the town of Eufaula. So we'd be looking at that arriving there across that area very rapidly, very quickly from the southwest. There is some motion there. I don't see exactly. I mean, it's going to be near Canadian, what they're calling a tornado. At the moment, it's going to be right in this area here and going northeastward like this. So expect that from Dutchess Landing back over to Chickasaw into the summit area there in Muskogee. As we move along. The one to the north here near Pryor Creek is also for 40 more minutes now. That's Craig, Delaware, Mays County. You're underneath the tornado warning with the spin. The rotation noted right about here, and I think this is initialization. They're looking at this is a precursor to what would be a tornado on the ground probably. I think they're looking at this and going, it's a pretty good call that we can see this developing And so they've made those 2 calls based on that. But this might be the thing that happens right here before it all busts out there into eastern Oklahoma or southern Kansas, I think, as we move along, besides the others that we have. And not to forget, I want to go to this one real quick down here as well that we've been watching for a while. This coming out of the Shreveport office now. We're in the middle of no man's land. We're about to get into the 70-mile range. I don't see anything there that looks like, to me, that there's a lot going on as far as, well, that's pretty ugly. And what did that do? Did that back up a little? Kind of sitting there on the interstate at the moment, so that's got to be a mess. That is your tornado warning there that's going to last for a while longer there across that region as a result of the stronger thunderstorm that developed a little bit earlier. Now, tornado warning here, and that'll be a continuation of the storm that we saw a little bit earlier coming in from the south. This thing hasn't been on the ground all that time, but this cell originated well down to the south near Zwolle and has made its way all the way across the northern tip section, if you will, of the state, and now is pretty much sitting there across the northern sections of the state with a tornado warning there as well. Jarvis, you got anything?
Not seeing much coming
Not
in.
seeing much on social media.
They're quiet today, David. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, I would think it's probably just because it's so difficult to get from point A to point B, especially across Louisiana. South-north is difficult. And anytime, a storm might be moving 30 to 40, it's hard to maintain that in a straight line if you're in a vehicle. If you could fly, that'd be easy to maintain and stay ahead of, but it's difficult. I mean, if it's moving 30, I used to always, back in the old days when I used to be out there, if it was 30 or 40 in my horse and buggy, I'd say let it go and wait for the next one. It's super hard. Unless you're on an interstate that's, pretty much, if I was on I-20, I might try to get ahead of stuff. But down there, you sort of have to let it come to you. And I think it's very difficult to get information out of here as far as that goes. Now, I know we have thunderstorms that are, developing quickly, too. And they did go ahead and push this tornado warning a little bit further to the north. They're still saying radar indicated. And now they're going to push this up near Shudrant, which is right there. Shudrant right here. That's where the tornado is. Right on the interstate is the latest tells us now. It is right on the interstate. You can see that too. There's a little bit of a gap here between inbound and outbound. It's not exactly pixel to pixel, gate to gate at this point. So I mean, it's obviously spinning. It's rotating. It's easy to see it's doing that, but a point, I don't see pixel to pixel like I did a little bit earlier. This might be a cycling tornado that's actually taking place, but with the pictures that I saw, Jarvis, I think you just sent that 4-panel. Was that a mobile home park?
Let me go back and take a look.
I can't remember exactly what that was, but was that part of this storm, I think, is what I'm trying to remember, if it was a different storm.
May have been a different storm, but it looks like that 4-panel last night, that was actually a high school.
A high school.
And then a mobile home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was in
Jesseville, Arkansas.
Jesseville.
Yeah.
That was way down there then.
Man, I seen some reports earlier that there was damage in Hot Springs, but no official reports on that or images. So,
all right. Hot Springs. Yeah, getting a lot of this is still at that point to where hit or miss. I mean, that stuff came out gangbusters there for a little bit, and then as it developed and moved on to the east. Now, it looks like a lot of our development is going to be further and further to the west as we move along. The 2 tornado warnings that we have and a third severe thunderstorm warning that has the potential. Did they just call that a third? No. The Muskogee storm here has the potential to be a tornado warning too, because it does have some spin right there with it as well. That's going to be for Wagoner, Cherokee, Muskogee counties. You're underneath the severe thunderstorm warning for that. In the short term and the long term, there are 3 distinctive cells there that are ripe and viable to actually become a tornado. The one tornado warning that we do have, though, that shows up right now down to the south is still that one near Monroe, Louisiana, just off to the west of Monroe, near Choudront, and moving northeastward up into the Farmerville, Marion region. Again, that's very tough as far as driving in that general direction goes. I'm not sure where Brett is or if either of you have a bead on him with GPS, but I don't think he's going to be able to get to that. And now, if I'm him, I'm like, what do I do? This is a tough call. If you're out there and you're trying to navigate now, where do you go? Where's the target area at this point? Because it's all a big junky mess of rain-wrapped stuff. This has got to be a difficult call here at this point. Not really sure, how to make that call. And I don't want to forget. There's been a persistent box. This is a special weather statement over in Nashville, Tennessee. OHX. Let's go to the radar over there. Pretty big thunderstorm that's coming into downtown Nashville now on the western side. This is going to be on the western side, I think, of Davidson County, Dixon and Davidson, Hickman, Cheatham, and Williamson counties, all coming in from the southwest again. This is an I-40 storm that's coming in from the southwest. That's going to have some high wind associated with it, maybe some hail there as well on the western side of town. That is the Cumberland River that goes from west to east and serpentines around through there. But that'll be coming into town here very shortly over the next 30 minutes or so, make its way into the western side of Nashville with some high winds coming into Henderson and beyond, and then still continuing to move on to the east. This is an area here, too, where they've had snowfall over the last week. I was in Nashville till yesterday, actually. It was 70 yesterday when I headed back from Nashville, but it was 8 when I went there the weekend before. It was 8 degrees, and there was snow falling. So big change here as far as the weather goes, no matter where you are, although that's a honking big old storm right there. And maybe we'll sort of watch that coming into Belmead, actually, from the western side of town into Davidson County and moving eastward. Is there the potential for a tornado there? I was talking to Brett about this yesterday, and it really didn't look like that was going to be the case. But since most of our tornado warnings during the day today have come outside of the box, I guess anything is possible. So pretty much where we stand with everything right there. Guys, if... has anybody heard from Brad? Do you have a beat on him at all? I know we were all trying to speak with him from time to time, but I don't know if he has any new information for us either at this point. I'm sure he's kind of stuck there with a difficult decision to make as far as traveling there into Louisiana. And I heard some people who were up there into eastern Oklahoma say, I wish I was in Louisiana, and vice versa for the day. So I guess it depends on where you are and what you're likely doing. Not to forget, too, by the way, that tomorrow is another day with an enhanced risk that's a little bit further onto the east, across and into Alabama as we go through the day on Tuesday. And it might even linger a little bit into late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning before heading into the Carolinas. One of the first times I've seen the Carolinas actually be affected this way as well. But right now, we still have the, I think there was a new tornado warning just now coming in, or maybe they reaffirmed the one that was just out of there. So, Jarvis, let's talk about this. If somebody is watching LSM at the moment and they have some information, how do they get it to us?
You can send it on our Twitter or Facebook page and tag what hashtag you want to use, David?
I don't care. That's your job. That's for you to think about. I don't think about those things because I won't be looking.
Yeah, you can tweet us at Livestorms Media. Use hashtag live video or live or damage. And
that would work.
Yeah, that way we have a way to filter it. But yeah, love to see your pictures, your videos. Just make sure you guys are doing it safely.
Yeah, as always, make sure you're doing it safely and make sure you're not using somebody else's picture or video. because I just looked. I've had about 4 pictures come in from some Facebook family of mine who got them from somewhere else and didn't get permission. So really trying to watch out for that these days and make sure that you're only using your own content or you have permission to use somebody else's is the way this goes about. Copyright's a big thing now when it comes to social media, and displaying somebody else's information is not cool at all, especially if you're getting paid for it. And, that's the only thing that we are suggesting is that you make sure you have ownership of it. Still, the big picture here shows quite a bit of activity that's moving from west to east, and most of it, again, the Shreveport radar has pretty good coverage of what's happening there till you get out to the 70-mile range, but the lone tornado warning there that still remains is the one that you can see here on screen, which is reason for us to believe that there's still enough of a tornado there actually to keep giving that out. That's 14 more minutes for Lincoln, Ouachita, and Union parishes. These are parishes now back in Louisiana, capable of producing a tornado about 9 miles to the east of Ruston. It's moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour across the interstate and beyond. And so here is, I'm going to go to the satellite image here for just a second. Guys, thank you very much, and let me know if you have some more information, any information that we can pass along, and we'll maybe get back to you and talk about that in further detail. Right now, the satellite image that we're looking at here, and here you go. The satellite image has plenty of data at this point, most of which is still coming in from the west to east, coming up along the Mississippi River. You can see it gets contaminated there right about dark with the image that still has more information for us than any. And so as you look at this at the moment, it's still providing us with information that says colder cloud tops are there, cold enough to where we're only basically talking about the fact that these are going to be pretty stout thunderstorms moving in across the rest of the region. From west to east, they'll do so throughout the remainder of this evening. 2 tornado warnings to the north, one just to the north and east of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and still, Muskogee, we got a thunderstorm there too, but not a tornado warning at this point. We still have a little area there east of Wichita that we're watching too that has some oomph with it that could produce a tornado at about any point. So the overall picture has a storm there at Henrietta. I want to go to the Fort Smith radar here and take a little bit better look. I think this will give us a better image. And there's your storm that has the tornado associated with it. A couple of things you do see automatically is that we have a lot of lightning that's occurring here. So the lightning data is pretty stout at the moment here with all of this as well. I'm going to get my head back into the picture here. There we go. And the lightning data, anytime you see an increase in lightning like this, you're looking at the fact that we have new energy coming into the system, and it's using that energy to produce lightning strikes. And sometimes the genesis of a tornado will develop within that environment. That's what's that's the case right now, is we're using a lot of that energy right there. Now there is a new tornado warning. They just pushed the polygon a little bit further to the north. We'll go to the INX radar. And that looks pretty wicked, doesn't it? That looks really wicked. And our tornado is likely going to be right about, I think it's developing kind of in this area right here, near all that lightning. So it's not far from Adair and Pensacola. And probably, I think the tornado would actually be developing somewhere into this region right here. So, yes, and now they did update the polygon a little bit to show you. Now, these polygons, if you were just wondering, the polygon shape is significant here because typically they're going to be shaped from this part, and then they'll widen as far as an opportunity or a zone of possibility is. So the actual tornado is going to be right here with the possibility of it going within this window toward the end. That's why polygons are shaped that way, and they're not squares anymore. They used to be squares or in the shape of your county. Now they're actually in the shape of a direction that they think this is going to move. So the small end is going to be the origination. The larger end is going to be the destination. And at this point now saying that that's moving up toward Langley and Copeland into the Grove area and beyond. So pretty much what you're looking at there. Then down to the south, we have our tornado warning here near Eufaula. This is going to be the Henrietta storm that we're looking at just a little bit earlier there. not too far away from Gore into Muskogee, into Tahlequah. That's a new storm. All right, so we got two things going on here. One is a tornado warning for Eufaula and Dutchess Landing. You might remember this is the area up here. I covered this many years ago when a barge let loose on the Arkansas and hit a bridge here one time. I don't remember exactly when that was, but that's what I remember about the area. And now what is a severe thunderstorm warning is here across the region that is just to the south of Fort Gibson and Muskogee. There's an inbound and an outbound there, so I know they're watching that closely as well. You have wind that's coming toward and away from the radar side in a very small area right about there. So certainly need and reason to be watching out for that as it all moves northeastward out of Zeb. They even, well, they sort of shortened the polygon actually, and talked about that. So that's what you got there in that section. The tornado watch box. I don't know if they're wishing they hadn't done it, but hadn't seen a whole lot there. And I guess that's in anticipation of what's coming on a little bit later. I'm not really sure, so let's see what I got here. Again, the Nashville storm. I'm getting some people who are writing me about the Nashville storm saying it was pretty bad coming through. And it is. That's a wicked-looking storm. I mean, this thing's got some power to it coming in. This is a gust that's taking place out ahead of the system right about here. Belmead, down to the south. This is a little gust area, a little comma head on the northern side. But these are going to be some strong winds gusting right in here. We'll have some wind gusts there probably reaching up into the 40 to 50 mile per hour range. As, maybe even greater. And we'll have to watch the little notch area there, too. I don't think there's anything that's rotating with it just yet, but let me look. No, it's a straight line event here. And see, we're far enough away to where we're not really affected. Nashville is not really affected just yet by the change in wind direction with height. So we're kind of sitting here at the moment with directional wind that's headed in the same direction. They did issue a severe special weather statement, actually, that included all that area. Doppler radar tracking down a thunderstorm near Coopertown, or near Pegram, that's near Fairview. Movement east at 30, winds in excess of 40. And I can see that there. You can see that in the velocity data. But coming into downtown Nashville on Briley Parkway, the rest of the area there near Dollywood, near the, Cumberland River, and coming into the Gaylord Hotel area is what I was trying to say. Briley Parkway here to the south, and then Hendersonville all the way up to the National Weather Service there just off of the Cumberland that we were looking at. So kind of watching all of that at the moment as the storms begin to pick up. There's a lot of lightning that's being detected there as well. So watch out if you're driving there. If you're going to be driving somewhere in the central sections of Tennessee, you want to watch out for that situation very closely. Again, within the box to the north, we have warnings here that still exist for several of these areas that we were talking about a little bit earlier that are adjacent to the Muskogee, McAllister region. This is the one coming across the interstate, I-40 at the moment near Chakotah, and let's see, Okemah back to the west there too that we're looking at. This is Haskell, McIntosh, and Pittsburgh, where we're still looking at the possibility of a tornado coming across Eufaula, and the one near Veneta there as well. This is a brand new tornado warning. You might have heard it. Is it a brand new tornado warning? No, it's just a movement. Radar indicated this is going to be valid until 7 o'clock tonight. This is now a new tornado warning, which I guess you could say that based on the fact that the old one had expired. And so there it is, the inbound and the outbound associated with it near the town of Downsville and Farmerville. Coming into Marion from the southwestern side near Sterlington and beyond. We have the likelihood of a tornado being shown right here into this area, Downsville, Farmerville, and beyond. Coming into Marion on the south side, moving northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour, which would include the rest of the area as we go through the rest of this evening with some of the stronger thunderstorms that we're looking at there too. And these will all be possible tornado makers here. We're outside of the 70s, so the 70-mile range, so that's getting a little bit more difficult to pinpoint. There's some strong rotation here, although it doesn't look like at this point that's going to be anything that would be producing a tornado, and it's somewhat benign here into the short term. There's not a whole lot going on. This thing near Winfield has some spin rotation, but that's not close to being tornadic at this point. The other thing that is well back to the west. And if we skip and hop across the watch box there, and we get to the other one over here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that might be the new area there that we shall be following as we go into the rest of this evening. So not much going on there in the way of precipitation just yet, or thunderstorms that could be causing more problems. Just got a new deal here from about a winter storm warning now. This is up into South Dakota. I mean, the northern end of this is going to be producing some very heavy snowfall in time that and ice, but it's snowfall for the belt that goes from Minneapolis back to the west, and again, an ice storm may be part of this as it all pushes off to the east. And they just sort of upgraded this tornado warning for the next 20 minutes now. Craig, Delaware, Mays. That's just a continuation. We have about 6,500 people in population there for that polygon. Headed just off to the north and east outside of Ketchum and Veneta. We used to have a good camera there in Veneta. I'll look and check that out to see if we got any more information about that. Batesville down to the south. Is this an outbreak? Absolutely not. This is not an outbreak, which is quite all right with us. It was an enhanced risk through the day today. A risk that we've been watching for a while now. This started showing up in the 6-day time frame. It was listed as a 15% and proceeded to go upward and into the enhanced region where we reached today. If you look back, I'm not really sure what's going to be the reasoning that this has done what it's done, which has really just enveloped a big rain shield along with it. We've had a couple of distinct areas where I feel sure we've had a few tornadoes that have been on the ground. Some of the pictures that we saw from Jarvis, from Brandon just a little while ago, indicated what looked to be severe damage there to a high school a little bit earlier that was showing up. And then besides that, we've only had a few more pictures. We don't have a lot of social media contact out there that tells us any differently. A little rotation down there near Dodson again. But this is in a region that's so overworked at the moment. I don't know how much more we can produce out of those same areas because we're just training in echoes here. And in fact, why don't we just look and see how much rain is being detected here from storm totals. There's some pretty high totals here already showing up. I mean, these are indicative of 3 and 4 inch totals here around Jonesboro, 2.5 to 3 inches. Coming in a fairly short amount of time there, actually, when it all began. But all that is still moving on to the east and doing so at a fairly decent clip. And there's the new tornado warning. They did push that across the border and over into Arkansas. So it's Union County, Arkansas. You're included in that tornado warning now. Southeastern Union County, Union Parish, and north central Louisiana. Storm capable of producing a tornado about 8 miles to the southeast of Farmerville, 11 miles to the northwest of Claiborne, moving northeast at about 40 miles per hour. And so that's where that currently stands at the moment, with all of that activity kind of riding from west to east and moving along the boundary that goes off to the north. I tell you what, we're going to shut it down here a few minutes and gather some more information, try to get some pictures to you here very shortly. It's not over with, but we're in somewhat of a lull. I'm not really sure. I haven't done a lot of research myself to find out whether or not it's ramping up later on tonight. I know the Jet's going to get involved here very shortly, and some of that could ramp up as we go through the night tonight in the next few hours, basically, I think would be the case right now. The tornado warnings that we currently have down in Louisiana, we got a couple there. We have a few scattered into the eastern sections of Oklahoma, coming into the southwestern portions of Missouri. up around Springfield, maybe later on this evening as well. And enhanced risk continues during the day tomorrow, so we'll be looking at that as we go through the remainder of this evening as well, and have some more information for you coming up. So as we do that, we just want to keep you up to date on any sort of changes that do occur going through and into the next few hours. Brandon Jarvis is with me. Dean Barry's with me. Brett Adair is out and about somewhere with his ears on, I hope. And we'll try to get you some more information as we go through the rest of this evening. Stay with us. We'll come back from time to time and give you some more information. And thank you for being with us so far.